What if I told you that Deadpool's comic history is some of the most chaotic, confusing, and honestly tragic storytelling Marvel has ever put on the page? Or that the Deadpool we know from the MCU is actually very different from his comic counterpart? With Deadpool officially joining Marvel Rivals in Season 6, we are going to dive into the full comic history of the Merc with a Mouth to help us better understand just how exactly he will fit into the world of Marvel Rivals. Wade Wilson's early life is defined by contradiction, trauma, and his unreliable memory, which becomes a reoccurring theme throughout his entire history. Depending on which version you believe, Wade grew up abused, abandoned, or neglected. He originally believed that his father abandoned them when his mother was pregnant, leading her to become angry and violent towards Wade until he was an adult. He's also recalled his mother dying young, while his father was an army officer who became violent, and that home life pushed Wade towards a life of crime and self-destruction. Yet in another memory, his mother turned to humor, alcohol, and shopping as a coping mechanism for his father's abandonment, and he chose to run away to save her the stress of financial strain. However, it would eventually be revealed that his parents were never gone at all. They were alive, together, and had kept his childhood bedroom exactly as he left it, though Wade himself wouldn't be able to recognize them, the house, or his own past, which we'll get into later. After leaving home, Wade eventually found a sense of purpose when he joined the US Army Special Forces at 17 years old. Despite his superior skill and track record, he was eventually discharged for refusing to follow orders that crossed his personal moral line. Before the age of 19, Wade was recruited into a CIA-backed mercenary program due to his military record, where he was promised that every target he killed would deserve it. Little is known about his activities with this group, but his work took him across the world, from places like Morocco to Japan, where he formed real connections, fell in love, and for the first time refused to kill an innocent man, choosing instead to walk away. Back in the United States, Wade fell deeply in love with Vanessa Carlyle and dreamed of a future beyond violence. But when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer with 34 inoperable tumors, Wade pushed Vanessa away, abandoned treatment, and chose to face death alone. Back in Canada, Wade was offered a glimpse of hope with an opportunity to join Department K, a covert government weapons division connected to the infamous Weapon X program. There, Wade became a test subject for the Superhuman Enhancement Project, where his terminal cancer was temporarily halted by implanting a healing factor derived from Wolverine himself. For a brief moment, the gamble seemed to work. Wade operated as part of a Black Ops field unit alongside enhanced operatives, including cyborg soldiers and near-invulnerable teammates, and even Vanessa re-entered his life as a fellow operative after manifesting shape-shifting abilities under the alias Copycat. But his prosperity wouldn't last for long. During a mission, Wade killed one of his own teammates, and soon after, his healing factor destabilized. His cancer returned and his body began to deform, and Weapon X deemed him a failure, dumping him into a place known only as the Hospice. The Hospice was supposed to be a government facility where failed superhuman operatives were treated for potential cures. However, unknown to the government, its patients were tortured experimental subjects under Dr. Killbrew and his sadistic enforcer Ajax, with inmates literally betting on how long each of them would survive in a running Deadpool. Subjected to constant torment, Wade fractured further, forming a twisted bond with the cosmic entity Death herself. Seeking release, he repeatedly tried to join Death, even going as far as mocking Ajax by taunting him with his real name, Francis. Though Ajax eventually retaliated by lobotomizing Wade's closest friend Worm, at Death's urging, Wade mercy killed Worm, sealing his own fate as the Hospice had strict rules against killing fellow patients, resulting in execution. Ajax responded by tearing out Wade's heart and leaving him to die, but Wade's hatred and need for vengeance reignited his healing factor, allowing his heart to regenerate even as his body remained permanently scarred. Crawling back from death, Wade slaughtered his captors, gunned down Ajax, and escaped with the other survivors. It was here that Wade Wilson finally claimed the name and became Deadpool. After escaping Hospice, Wade leaned fully into the life he knew best, violence for hire. He worked briefly as an enforcer for the criminal Hammerhead before returning to freelance mercenary work, finally donning the red and black costume that cemented his new identity as Deadpool. During this time, he took contracts with some of the most powerful figures in the criminal underworld, including Wilson Fisk, and repeatedly crossed paths with Wolverine. Years later, possibly seeking restitution for what Weapon X had done to him, Deadpool returned to Canada and briefly worked with the government again. Under the care of Dr. Walter Lonkowski, better known as Sasquatch of Alpha Flight, his condition was stabilized and he acquired advanced equipment, including a teleportation device that would become one of his signature tools. Predictably, government service didn't last. Wade drifted back into criminal work, stumbling into jobs for villains like the Wizard, briefly impersonating Hobgoblin, and joining a short-lived incarnation of the Frightful Four alongside Taskmaster. His career took an even stranger turn when he was hired by a billionaire to alter history, using time travel and reality-erasing weaponry to help him become a world power by removing key American figures from history, a scheme that drew Deadpool into his first clash with Cable. Cable ultimately undid the damage, erasing the man behind the plot from existence, but in doing so, he permanently entangled his fate with Deadpool's, setting the stage for one of Marvel's most infamous rivalries. Early in his vigilante career, Deadpool was pulled into the original Secret Wars when the Beyonder transported Earth's heroes to Battleworld. During the conflict, an alien healer named Zaji used her powers to remove Deadpool's scars, briefly giving him the life he'd always wanted. Free of his disfigurement, Wade reveled in his restored appearance and fell deeply in love with her. His insecurity and curiosity also led him to tamper with an alien machine in hopes of upgrading his look even further, resulting in a living black and white costume that bonded to his mind. Realizing the suit was alive, Wade returned it to containment, unknowingly setting the stage for Spider-Man to later claim it as the Venom symbiote. As the war escalated, Dr. Doom seized the Beyonder's power. Deadpool had an affair with the Wasp, who became attracted to his new look, and Zaji had fallen in love with Colossus. When Doom killed all the other heroes, Deadpool convinced Zaji to sacrifice herself to resurrect Mr. Fantastic and Colossus, allowing Reed Richards to use Deadpool's healing factor to restore the other fallen heroes, but at the cost of Wade's restored body, returning him to his scarred, cancer-ridden form. Rejected by the Wasp, who could no longer look past his appearance, Wade was cast aside once more. But during the final confrontation, Deadpool intercepted the Beyonder's attempt to reclaim his power and was warped to the foundations of eternity. There, Wade became fully aware that he was a fictional character, shattering the fourth wall for the first time. With Deadpool's persuasion, the Beyonder decided to grant all the heroes a wish. Deadpool used his to bring Zaji back to life, only for the Wasp, traumatized by Wade's appearance and regretful of their relations, chose to forget, erasing Deadpool's role in Secret Wars from everyone's memory. So the universe moved on, but Deadpool never forgot. Okay, well, let me stop you right there. Hi, hello, it's me, Deadpool. Yes, I'm hijacking the segment, and no, you can't stop me. After all, it's my video. Look, I may not be Ryan Reynolds, Nolan North, or Alejandro Saab, but I'm still Deadpool. And if they aren't going to speak up for me on a random YouTube video, well, someone has to. Look, as you all know, and please don't tell him I said this, I have a reputation to uphold after all. Osu does I guess you could say, a fantastic job. But I'm not going to sit here and let him explain 25 years of absolutely unhinged, loosely connected, sometimes retconned nonsense. So how about I give you the TLDR and we let him get back to the stuff that actually matters, yeah? Cool beans. After Secret Wars, my life basically became a Twitch highlight reel of bad decisions. I bonded with an alien goo suit again, yes, the Venom one, tried being a hero, accidentally joined some hero teams, accidentally had a kid, and accidentally murdered my own parents when I got psychologically tortured by a guy named the Butler, who drugged me, wiped my memories, and manipulated me into doing some deeply messed up stuff. Fun times. I bounced between Merc jobs, punched Wolverine more times than I can count, fell for people who didn't love me back, tried to be better, failed, tried again, failed harder, and at one point got my entire personality split into multiple versions of myself because Thanos was jealous I was dating Death, which, honestly, still feels so personal. Anyways, I died, got better, lost my identity, got it back, ran a business, blew it up, teamed up with Cable, fused with Cable, unfused with Cable, don't ask, saved the world a few times, ruined it emotionally several more, and moral of the story, you ask? I tried really hard to stop being a monster and learn that self-improvement is way harder when you're immortal, mentally unstable, and the universe keeps poking you with a stick. So sometimes you gotta poke it back with a bigger stick. And no, that's not an innuendo, you perv. I'm actually trying to give you real life advice here. Get your head out of the proverbial gutter. That's my job anyways. Okay, TLDR, over. I'll give the channel back now, and I better not see a comment where you tell him what I said. Don't make me call Guang Guang to add more government agents to your comp matches. And back to Osu. When the Superhuman Registration Act went into effect, Wade attempted to get licensed by S.H.I.E.L.D. as a registered bounty hunter tasked with tracking down unregistered superhumans and forcing them to comply. His hit list included the Great Lake Avengers, where he was promptly defeated by Squirrel Girl, as well as Captain America, Luke Cage, and Daredevil, who was Iron Fist in disguise, where he was also defeated after tracking Daredevil to a confrontation with the Secret Avengers and Cable. Despite these failures, S.H.I.E.L.D. still employed him, placing him directly at odds with Cable as the Civil War continued, who had sided with the Resistance. Their repeated clashes only made Wade's situation worse, especially after he suffered a very public loss that further damaged his reputation. With his mercenary credibility in freefall, Deadpool became obsessed with rebuilding his image. Believing that a high-profile victory would restore his standing, Wade set his sights on Taskmaster, as he knew he was someone with enough clout to make the win matter. He kidnapped Taskmaster along with several government officials and forced them to witness a staged fight meant to prove his value. Deadpool won the battle, but the plan backfired completely. Instead of earning a new contract, the officials dismissed him as unreliable and immature. Pause. Immature? They called me immature. I kidnapped 4 government officials, hosted a private cage match, provided refreshments. Okay, fine, there were no refreshments, but I'm the problem? Incredible. Anyway, hi, Deadpool here. Consider this a friendly, hostile takeover. Osu is great, but a topic such as myself needs a little bit of flair, don't you think? So quick recap, I got shrunk down with PIM particles and turned into a keychain, not a metaphor, a real humiliating used to unlock a bar bathroom door keychain. Got flushed like a child's goldfish, don't want to talk about it, came back, beat Rhino while pocket-sized, real David Goliath kind of story, so that's easily a win, be sure to write that down. And then Hydra happened. Again, I rescued Agent X, met Bob, Agent of Hydra, national treasure, we love him, and somehow ended up running Agency X. Me, management, payroll, very professional. How's that for immature? Next, Cable died, which was super emotional except he came back, so not really. I got decapitated by Wolverine, don't worry, 'tis but a flesh wound, accidentally time traveled to World War II, fought you-know-who's with Captain America, got forgotten mid-fight because of time glitches, and eventually had to be rescued by 2 Fantastic Four teams. Long story. After that, Doctor Strange made me fix a mystical hole in my old nemesis T-Raid's head by stabbing other magical creatures with the exact same sword. Look, it doesn't make sense to me either, but I didn't write that storyboard. Then I went to the Savage Land, fought dinosaurs, accidentally teleported those dinosaurs to New York, and had to die briefly to save the Avengers from symbiote-infected prehistoric monsters. Like, that is a by-the-book hero moment, but still, no credit? Come on, Marvel. And finally, I tried to kill Wolverine, like really tried. Planned everything perfectly, flowcharts, timers, color-coded notes, but then his son cut off my hands and the whole thing turned out to be a setup by Wolvie himself. And for the worst part, I didn't get paid. I'm starting to sense a pattern. So yeah, leadership, magic, time travel, dinosaurs, depression, and still immature. There, just saved you and Osu like a whole 10 minutes. I'm gonna go scream into a paper bag and play. Not too long after the Civil War, Deadpool's already fragile mental state took another hit when he crossed paths with the villain known as Madcap, who has the power to induce insanity through eye contact and a resurrective healing factor much like Deadpool. What began as an attempt by Madcap to drive Wade completely insane escalated into a confrontation involving Daredevil and Thor, who ultimately obliterated both men with a lightning strike. When their remains regenerated, Madcap was absorbed into Deadpool's body, making a permanent presence inside Wade's mind. From that point forward, Madcap manifested as an intrusive inner voice, further destabilizing Deadpool's psyche and blurring the line between his own thoughts and outside influences. When the Skrull invasion began, Deadpool was captured and forced to train Skrull operatives to counter his unique combat style, making them more unpredictable and harder to anticipate. Wade ultimately used the situation to his advantage, intentionally feeding the Skrulls misinformation while secretly collecting stolen intelligence files. His real goal was to pass this information to Nick Fury, hoping to expose the invasion and get paid in the process. However, the transmission was intercepted by Norman Osborn, who was leading the Avengers and Hammer at that point in time. As a result, Fury never received the intel and the invasion played out without credit to Deadpool. Which brings us into the Dark Reign era of the Marvel Universe. Marvel's heroes are in chaos, Civil War fractured the superhero community, Secret Invasion destabilized trust, Captain America was dead, and the Superhero Registration Act was still in effect, and Norman Osborn continued to lead the Dark Avengers and Hammer in a world where supervillains rose to power. Left broke after yet another unpaid job, Deadpool stowed away on a freighter bound for America, only for the ship to be destroyed mid-voyage by Tiger Shark. Washed ashore in Mexico, missing an arm and presumed dead multiple times over, Wade learned that both Tiger Shark and Bob had been sent to kill him on the orders of Norman Osborn. Osborn, who was only in power now due to intelligence Wade had unknowingly provided during Secret Invasion, wanted Deadpool eliminated to secure his position. Seeking payment rather than revenge, Wade returned to New York and attempted to confront Osborn directly, only to be intercepted by the Thunderbolts. Though he defeated most of the team, Deadpool became infatuated with Black Widow, Yelena Belova, turning the conflict into a chaotic mix of flirtation, misdirection, and violence that culminated in Wade nearly killing Osborn before being shot through the heart and decapitated in front of him. Deadpool eventually recovered, resurfacing repeatedly to torment Osborn, including appearing behind him during a national broadcast with the sign reading, "Respawn LOL." Still unable to find steady work, Wade took increasingly erratic jobs. He clashed with Bullseye, briefly became a pirate, and ultimately decided to try and become a hero once again. He traveled to Utopia and attempted to join the X-Men, but was initially rejected and placed under probation. When Osborn attempted to frame the X-Men for a kidnapping as part of a larger effort to discredit them, Deadpool manipulated events to expose the truth, restoring the team's public image in the process. This earned him a reluctant acceptance into the X-Men. Though his time with the team was short and chaotic, Dark Reign marked a rare moment where Deadpool's actions proved that under the right circumstances, Wade Wilson could still choose to do the right thing. Sometime after Dark Reign, Deadpool was unexpectedly recruited by an Elder of the Universe known as the Contemplator, and tasked with saving the multiverse from a threat called the Awareness, a being that supposedly devoured consciousness across realities. To stop it, Wade was instructed to assemble a team made entirely of alternate universe versions of himself. Traveling across the multiverse, Deadpool recruited a wildly different collection of counterparts, including Ladypool, Kidpool, Dogpool, and Headpool. Though their personalities and origins varied, all shared the same chaotic mindset that made them uniquely suited for what laid ahead. The true reason the Deadpool Corps could succeed where others failed was revealed once they confronted the Awareness itself. The entity's power relied on consuming coherent thoughts, but the fractured, self-aware, and unpredictable minds of the Deadpools rendered them completely immune. Along the way, the Corps were tested by other Elders of the Universe, such as the Champion and the Grand Master, who doubted the Contemplator's selection and their worthiness. But after outwitting and stranding the Champion in space and proving their mettle, the Deadpool Corps ultimately moved on and destroyed the Awareness, who was revealed to be the last survivor of an ancient species from the dawn of the universe, much like the other Elders. After defeating the Awareness, the Deadpool Corps would continue adventuring in space as intergalactic mercenaries. However, after abusing their multiversal powers granted to them by the Elders of the Universe, they were stripped of their status and sent back to their respective home dimensions. Okay, pause. Sorry to interrupt the video. Cliffhangers, am I right? But I'm almost out of popcorn and my fingers are dangerously unbuttered and I simply cannot continue watching without the full cinematic snack experience. So while those kernels are popping, how about another TLDR? You're welcome. Hi, Deadpool here again, and yes, I paused the video, and no, you can't skip this. The progress bar knows what you did, so don't try it. Nope, I hear kernels popping. Okay, speedrun time. I joined the X-Force, Black Ops, Murder Vibes, we killed Apocalypse, but as a child, and I know what you're thinking, but I would never. I'm a bad dude, but even I have standards. I even called a meeting to talk things out, and Wolvie called me a blood-sucking mercenary with no heart, motivated solely by money. Ouch. You know, that hurt almost as bad as when Hugh Jackman said all those nasty things to me in our love wagon. Or, well, the other me. I wish it was me. You know, funny thing is, I was the only one not cashing my checks either. Lessons learned, though. Logan's not a good therapist. I wonder if Ryan learned that lesson too. Anyways, after leaving that team, I tried to monetize fear itself. You know, magic hammer, guy named the Walrus, fake end of the world scenario, sexy man in a red spandex saves the day scenario. Turns out the hammer shuts off my healing factor during a full moon. Nearly died, still didn't get paid. If this video has ads, wouldn't that be ironic? Next, I went to space, saved 2 civilizations, killed a sentient moon, came home, and fought all my friends at once. And when I asked, is this what you want? They responded by shooting me until I passed out. 5 stars, would not recommend. Then I went to prison in England, met a stalker psychiatrist, took the queen hostage, but I was very polite about it. She is the queen after all. Long story short, I had some discarded body parts that reassembled themselves into an even worse version of me, because when life gives you lemons, it makes an evil Deadpool. Evil me blew up my favorite chimichanga spot, tried to out-villain me, kidnap kids, frame me for murder, and proved his big thesis. No matter how many good deeds I do, everyone's still gonna see me as the bad guy, which, like, okay, fair, but you ain't gotta rub it in, dude. And then Captain America showed up, evil me got hit with a mystery dart, lost his healing factor, and died like a normal human being. And that's when the laugh track stopped. Because if he can die, so can I. Anyway, popcorn's done, toodaloo, and press play. Shaken by the discovery that his healing factor could be neutralized, Wade Wilson set out on an elaborate and manipulative plan to obtain the same serum that had killed evil Deadpool, believing that only through true death could he finally reunite with his love, the cosmic entity, Death. With the help of Bob, he orchestrated a complex web of betrayals involving X-Force, Kingpin, The Hand, Dakin, and Tombstone, deliberately pitting them against one another. In the chaos, Wade was injected with the serum himself, only to learn that it had been engineered specifically for his DNA and had no effect on others like Wolverine. When his allies discovered that Wade had manipulated them all, they turned on him, but after surviving further confrontations and realizing that the serum had cured his deformities rather than killed him, Wade made a critical decision, as he no longer wanted to die. Choosing life, he reconciled with X-Force and left to save Bob, marking a rare moment of emotional clarity for Deadpool. Without his healing factor, Wade claimed to feel more alive than ever, but reality quickly proved harsher. After suffering a brutal beating at the hands of Intelligentsia, he realized how dependent he had become on regeneration rather than skill. Seeking to adapt, Wade trained under Taskmaster, only to be betrayed and left for dead once again, this time truly vulnerable. His past continued to catch up with him when Allison Kemp, seeking revenge for an accident that left her paralyzed, united several of Wade's old enemies against him. Deadpool ultimately dismantled the group, even convincing Kemp not to end her own life in a final confrontation, but the ordeal ended with one last twist. Evil Deadpool returned, revealing that the serum's effects were never permanent. After shooting Wade, he vanished, leaving Wade alive, scarred, and once again trapped between the desire for death and the unwilling pull of survival. Unbeknownst to Deadpool, Thanos had long despised him, not for his violence or chaos, but because Wade had earned the affection of Lady Death. Out of jealousy, Thanos secretly cursed Deadpool with true immortality, ensuring that Wade could never die and thus never be reunited with Death. When Death suddenly vanished and the universe was plunged into a state of absolute immortality, Deadpool immediately blamed Thanos. Stealing a starship from Cable, Wade confronted the Titan, who retaliated by lifting the curse and making Deadpool the only mortal being in existence, before killing him on the spot. However, Thanos soon realized his mistake. Wade was now the sole individual capable of communicating with Death, forcing Thanos to resurrect him so they could uncover what had happened. Their search revealed that Eternity had taken Death into his realm, but this too was part of Death's plan. Manipulating Thanos' obsession, she intended for him to destroy Eternity itself, an act that would cause the death of all reality. To prevent this cosmic catastrophe, Deadpool was temporarily empowered with the Uni-Power, becoming Captain Universe. With this power, Wade confronted Thanos directly and, more importantly, challenged Death's worldview. In an unexpected turn, Deadpool convinced Death of the value of life and persuaded her to abandon her plan of universal annihilation. Sometime after, Madcap would be removed from Deadpool's body in a similar way they were initially merged. Deadpool would then be recruited by S.H.I.E.L.D. to deal with an increasingly bizarre threat, an army of magically resurrected zombie US presidents. During the mission, Wade discovered that the catastrophe was caused by a magician named Michael Hawthorne, whose attempt to undo Death had spiraled out of control. In the aftermath, Hawthorne saved the life of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Emily Preston by transferring her consciousness into a portion of Deadpool's brain, permanently embedding another voice within Wade's already fractured mind. Shortly thereafter, Deadpool was abducted and taken to a secret prison camp in North Korea by the Butler, who revealed the full extent of his manipulation and abuse. The Butler confessed that after Wade abandoned his program, he had kidnapped Deadpool's daughter Eleanor and kept her hidden for years. With the help of Emily Preston's consciousness, Captain America, and Wolverine, Deadpool freed the prisoners from the camp and finally killed the Butler. Although Wade learned that his daughter might still be alive, he refused to seek her out, believing that his presence would only bring danger and pain into her life. Okay, pause again. Look, I know what you're thinking. Deadpool, didn't you just do a TLDR? Yes, but this is the final TLDR. You could say it's the endgame TLDR. The Marvel editorial's about to hit the reset button TLDR. And besides, we both know you're still watching, hoping I'd come back. So grab your popcorn, sit down, and shut up. Daddy Deadpool's talking. First thing first, I got married to a literal undead queen named Shikla. Dracula was not invited. We ruled Monster Metropolis. I played king. Things were really stable. And then we got divorced. She married Dracula. Shocked. Truly. Somewhere in there I reunited with my daughter, hunted Carnage using dubstep, long story, bonded with 4 symbiotes at once, and handed the goo dog pile to a German shepherd. Longer story, don't ask. Then Axis happened. I got magically inverted into Zenpool. Pacifist, calm, helpful, horrifying. I talked Apocalypse down from genocide, helped save the world, and when the spell wore off, I kept my conscience. Me. Oh, and I'm censored again, Osu? Oh, come the on. We talked about this after the last video. Anyways, fast forward, bad guys came for my family, I wiped them out, decided to quit being Deadpool forever, and was happy with my friends, ready to start a new leaf, and immediately died when the Ultimate Universe smashed into ours. Boom. Earth 616 meets Earth 1610. Everyone dies, into Marvel, but shh. I'm not supposed to know that. That's our secret. Except, surprise! Everything came back. A soft reboot, baby. Post-reset, I got popular, like merch popular. I formed Mercs for money, joined the Avengers Unity division, sold t-shirts, and learned the hard way that fame just gives your enemies a better target. Madcap came back, again. Poisoned my family, again. I fixed it, again. I got divorced, again. And then I merged with Howard the Duck, temporarily. Fought Dr. Bunk, yes, that's a real villain, solved that, and then I messed up bad. I trusted Captain America, the wrong one. Killed Phil Coulson, helped Hydra rise, lost friends, lost my daughter's trust, lost everything, tried to fix things, but it didn't matter. So I put a bounty on my own head, let the world try to end me, but of course, nobody could. Which brings us to the grand finale. I erased my own memories, at least the recent ones, on purpose. Because if I can't have a happy ending, maybe I can at least forget why. Alright, back to the, crap, where is that remote? Under the table? No? Couch? Alright, there it is. And play. Deadpool's life took an unexpected turn when he was hired to eliminate the Monster King who had invaded Staten Island. Teaming up with Elsa Bloodstone, Wade succeeded in killing the ruler, only to learn that ancient monster law dictated he was now the new king of monsters. Attempting to rule peacefully, Deadpool welcomed other heroes to Monster Metropolis and initially sought coexistence between monsters and humans. However, when Captain America warned him that monsters would need to be removed from the island to prevent civilian casualties, Wade refused. Instead, Deadpool declared open conflict, believing that protecting his new people, even through war, was the only way forward. Deadpool's reign was immediately tested when Kraven the Hunter ambushed him, seeking the ultimate prey. When Wade was nearly overwhelmed, Elsa shot him with a special bullet that temporarily banished him to a pocket dimension, forcing Kraven to retreat. Though victorious in the end, Wade was shaken by the deaths that had already occurred under his rule and doubted his worthiness as king. Elsa reassured him, choosing to stand by his side and assist him as a ruler. Their partnership deepened when Elsa revealed she was dying, and her bloodstone was infected by a parasitic creature known as the Bone Beast. Together, they traveled to Greenland and ultimately into the Bone Beast dimension, where the Queen sought to make Deadpool her host. In a moment of desperation and sacrifice, Wade removed Elsa's bloodstone and used its power to save the captured children, blowing himself up in the process. Elsa later recovered the Bloodstone from Deadpool's severed head, used it to destroy the Queen for good, and stayed with Wade as he regenerated. Sometime later, after regenerating from the aftermath of his reign, Deadpool became entangled with the secret assassin society known as the Atelier, where he was given a mission targeting Dr. Octopus as his audition. Captured by the biogenesis harrower, Wade was used as a host to incubate a hybrid Carnage symbiote, which eventually emerged as a loyal hyena-like creature that he named Princess. Branded a liability by the Atelier, Deadpool found new allies and a romantic partner in defectors Valentine Vuong and Lady Deathstrike. Together, they defeated Harrower and Dr. Octopus, abandoned the Atelier, and went on the run, with Wade beginning a new relationship while raising his new symbiote pet. In the era of the mutant nation of Krakoa, Deadpool slowly found his way back into mutant affairs. After repeatedly assisting mutant teams, Wade earned an invitation to join the new incarnation of X-Force. As an agent of Krakoa, Deadpool operated once again in the shadows, taking part in missions against threats such as Kraven the Hunter, Beast Prime and his Weapons of X, the Man with the Peacock Tattoo, and Mikhail Rasputin. While his methods remained unconventional, Wade's presence on X-Force reflected a growing willingness among mutants to trust him, not as a joke or a liability, but as a weapon willing to fight for their survival. That fragile redemption was tested when Orchis launched its devastating attack on the Hellfire Gala and effectively banished mutant kind from power. In response, Steve Rogers reactivated the Avengers Unity Division to protect mutants from Orchis, personally recruiting Deadpool as an act of forgiveness for Wade's past manipulation under Hydra's regime. Alongside Quicksilver, Rogue, Psylocke, and Penance, Deadpool took part in opposing a resurrected Captain Hydra, now operating under the stolen mantle of Captain Krakoa, who was orchestrating terrorist attacks with the help of a new mutant liberation front. Together, the heroes defeat Captain Krakoa and the Mutant Liberation Front. Rogue sacrifices herself by stealing Captain Krakoa's nuclear bomb and taking it far away from any potential casualties. But with quick thinking, Quicksilver was able to deliver Deadpool from the final fight to Rogue's location mere seconds before detonation, allowing her to share Wade's healing factor and survive the blast, officially saving the day and the team altogether. After losing his healing factor to a confrontation with the death cult leader Death Grip, Wade Wilson became increasingly aware of his own mortality, especially when he saw his daughter Ellie Camacho showing signs of becoming the same kind of immortal fighter he once was. Determined to prepare her for a dangerous world, Wade arranged for Ellie to be trained by Taskmaster while continuing to watch over her from a distance. However, this decision left Wade isolated, and he was soon targeted by Death Grip once again. Unable to regenerate, Wade was overpowered and had his life force drained, dying alone in his home. For the first time since becoming Deadpool, Wade Wilson's story truly ended. However, Wade's death did not end the legacy of Deadpool. Ellie took up her father's mantle, becoming the new Deadpool with a singular goal: bringing him back. Her search led her to a facility where she encountered Wade's former partner Valentine and clashed with MODOK. Together, they succeeded in resurrecting Wade, though the process permanently weakened both of their healing factors. Now sharing the burden of mortality, both father and daughter formed an uneasy partnership to survive in a world that no longer treated death as temporary. So there you have it. The complete history of Deadpool, a story defined by chaos, tragedy, self-awareness, and cut. Whoa, sorry, hi, Deadpool again. I know, it's just one more time, but you can't cover my entire life and not let me say goodbye. Look, what you just watched was a story of a guy who tried being a hero, tried being a villain, tried being dead, tried being king, tried being married, tried being better. And mostly just kept respawning, sometimes with consequences, sometimes without pants. But now for the big end of the video question. What does all this mean for Marvel Rivals, and what role do I play in Season 6? Comic relief, wild card, emotional landmine disguised as a punchline? You'll have to wait and see. And that is the fun part. So do the thing. Like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, telling Osu to bring me back, or how many times you think I'll break the fourth wall in game, and trust me, it's more than 0. And not to steal Osu's thunder, but you know, I gotta steal the tagline while I'm here. No, not that one, your tagline, silly goose. Thanks for watching, and like always, we hope to see you on the next one, out there in the multiverse. Post-credit scene in this economy? I mean, if this were a Marvel movie, this would tease the sequel, so I can't blame you, but it's not. It's a YouTube video. Why are you still here? The video's over. It's literally just a blank screen. Go outside, touch grass, or cue Marvel rivals. Either works. Bye-bye now. I'm ending the video in 3, 2,